Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we got a little more information on what went wrong with G4 TV.
The list of what went right is probably shorter.
It is very, very short. So we're going to talk about this kind of in light of all these game media outlets being shut down. Something actually that kicked this off was Elon Musk. He said the other day that the recession's coming and a lot of businesses that aren't viable are not going to make it. We're seeing a lot of this in the digital space and digital journalism, millennial media, and we're going to continue to see this. Now, in the case of G4, though, it was just poorly conceived from the beginning. According to this Washington Post update to their other story where they talked about what went down, the journalist Nathan Grayson said that they had no plan starting. They kept flip-flopping. They couldn't decide.
That was obvious.
That was obvious. They couldn't decide if they wanted to be a YouTube thing, a Twitch thing, a TV thing. Most people were under the impression they were going to be TV first.
I think they just thought if they spent a lot of money and made studios and used the name, they would just succeed.
Yeah, and that doesn't work anymore. So we're going to talk about all of this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, over 277,000 subs,
Woo!
Almost 278. Thank you for the support.
Oh yeah, we're close.
We are close.
Like and subscribe.
I did not get fired. from Clownfish TV.
Why? Who said you did?
I don't know. People might have thought. I wasn't here yesterday, so people thought I got fired. But we're going to talk about G4. I just wanted to bring this up because I like to bring up Elon Musk every chance I can.
It pisses people off.
It pisses people off. That's literally it.
Looks like he's praying or something there.
He's praying for all these businesses to burn, including Twitter, which you weren't in that video. He's supposedly going to lay like 75% of Twitter off or something. Yeah, it's interesting. He wrote, "Recessions have a silver lining and that companies that shouldn't exist stop existing." So he's actually saying a lot of things that we've said. Got a lot more money than we do, but he said that a lot of these media outlets were thriving artificially when there was plenty of free money to go around.
I would say venture capital.
Yeah. Venture capital. The venture capital is running out.
Which we've been saying for quite a while.
I mean, we're seeing this with Bustle. This is another, digital media group. They supposedly had a win a couple of years ago. They were going to unionize, and they still haven't. They still haven't been able to.
It's been 2 years already?
It's been 2 years, yeah.
Gosh, everything blurs together.
This tells me that you're going to be done soon because they're not making long-term plans. They're like, yeah, we're going to have to probably shut this down. Mm-hmm. And they might just actually shut it down and just be like, that's it. We're going to shut it down. Sorry, see ya, out the damn door. Anyway, Washington Post, why G4 failed. Constant pivots, high costs, no shit.
No kidding.
And controversy bedeviled the directionless network in the lead up to its collapse. That sounds like
the one thing we haven't covered is the pivots, because we didn't know about that. Everything else we've covered. It was too expensive, and there's been a lot of controversy.
Yeah, so they said the new G4 returned with a flashy and expensive new studio facility and a soft launch in early 2021. 60,000 square feet.
Yeah, we covered that many times.
It was greeted with excitement and a wave of nostalgia. But ex-G4 employees and contractors with whom the Post spoke said that despite lofty ambitions and a talented staff with exciting and creative ideas, G4 immediately lacked direction. Do you think? During its 10-month revival, shows regularly changed format and platform in response to viewership numbers and trends. The significant, numerous, and rapid changes, the workers said, threw planning into chaos.
So basically, they were going by what Twitter was saying, or like...
I think they were they thought they could walk into YouTube and Twitch and own it because they had a really expensive set and they had the G4 name. Mm-hmm. And that's not how it works. I mean, we're seeing similar things with like Nerdist and all that. They're not doing well.
What I think happens is people connect with certain personalities, certain people. And when those people aren't there, it causes a problem. Even when people that are there, or when people that you used to being around are there, if they're different than they were, there was a different direction they're being told to go in, people aren't going to connect with them like they did before. So you can't just assume that's going to happen.
They do get this in there, though. Of course, I'm sure they agree with Frosk. But additionally, a controversial segment by X-Play host Indiana Froskurinn Black, in which Black called out sexism within the show's audience, led to sustained harassment of Black and other talent. G4's inert response inflamed tension among cast members, employees said. They probably didn't know what to do because we've heard both sides. We've heard some people said that it was planned. It was supposed to be a stunt to get people to actually watch G4 and to appeal to the Twitch audience. Other people said she went rogue and just kind of did it herself.
I don't know. Call me crazy, but when your big demographic is the person that she went and attacked, it probably wasn't going to go well. Because even though majority of those people didn't act in the way she's describing, there are some that did. I mean, I've said this many times.
No, we get that too.
I don't disagree with everything she said. I just disagree with some of the ways she said it. So you have that presented to an audience that's mostly like men, and then you're basically telling they're all sexist and pigs, and you think they're going to be like, "Wow, hot damn! I can't wait to watch you next week." You know, I'm like, come on.
Step on my balls again. Well, some would actually.
Some actually like it.
Some actually like that. Though sometimes heralded as recession-proof, the video game industry has recently faced economic headwinds. That's why I had this pulled up, because I've been saying for months that a lot of these video game news outlets, pop culture news outlets, are not truly sustainable. They have chased their audiences away for years, and eventually the venture capital was going to run out and they weren't going to be able to lie anymore. And we're seeing a lot of them lay off, a lot of them get shut down, they get bought by other companies. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they keep losing value. Every time they sell these companies, they sell for less and less and less money, and it was all propped up. And Musk is right. The recession is going to come in, and it's going to get rid of clear out a lot of the dead branches, and like a forest fire.
Okay.
Frosk fire. That's what this was. Anyway.
I'm sure there's antibiotics for that.
Yeah, right. A growing number of companies ranging from upstarts like G4 to tech behemoths like Google and Microsoft have scaled down their ambitions, shuttering projects and divisions and letting go of employees. Then, I haven't even heard of this one, a streaming network similar to G4 funded by venture capital firms. There it is, guys. Venture capital firms billed as the MTV of video games launched in August of 2020 and shut down a year later. One former Venn employee described the business to input as top to bottom, a complete colossal failure.
Well, here are some of the reasons that the employees pointed to. They said some ex-employees pointed Tucker Roberts, son of billionaire Comcast CEO Brian Roberts, and then president of Comcast Spectators gaming brand.
Daddy, buy me a gaming network.
Basically.
Daddy.
Well, G4's revival was largely the younger Roberts' brainchild. Former employees describe him as fickle and absent. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
One employee familiar with Roberts' decision-making said the executive would regularly change his mind about crucial decisions. For example, the number of separate YouTube channels G4 needed, which spread out audiences and hurt viewership, or the direction of the network's esports coverage, which changed numerous times.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure, what was your primary platform? My understanding when they launched was they were going to be a television network first, like they were, and then they were going to spread out into YouTube and Twitch, which makes sense. But apparently they couldn't decide. They couldn't decide what was what. So he has Daddy buy him G4, bring G4 back, and then he jumped ship after a couple months.
Got tired of it. Like he got tired of Pony, wrote it 2 times, and then said, "I'm done.
I'm done. Send it to the Glue Factory, Daddy."
This was 4 months.
That's so typical. That's like typical rich kid behavior. According to a former staffer, the network's priorities would vary depending on which leader employees asked. I've been at companies like that.
Yes, that sounds about right.
When you don't have a clear hierarchy of who's in charge of what, employees are just kind of asking whatever manager, and they're contradicting each other and whatever. It just sounds like it was absolutely
like mom and dad, Then they get on here. They said Comcast declined to make Roberts and other G4 leaders available for an interview. Instead, supplying a statement from Scott.
Okay, Scott. Yeah, Scott's the Spectacor guy or whatever. Mm-hmm. Startup multi-platform network, G4 tested various content and distribution strategies, as was the case for many other recent gaming content ventures. There was not enough interest in G4, which resulted in closing. No, there was. I don't understand how you F this up so badly. I mean, there was a lot of interest in G4. It wasn't that hard to do. They spent $0 on advertising that I could see. I mean, you never saw ads for G4.
They're talking about it. They said that the television was the one that should have made money.
Yes.
Because they could have gotten sponsors, but they weren't able to attract sponsors.
Yeah, because again, it was like, what separates you from every other YouTuber working out of their bedroom? It doesn't matter if you have a fancy set or not. Like what, and if you're like, okay, well, you're doing a buy across our television networks and you're getting YouTube and Twitch or whatever, that's a lot more attractive.
Well, they said that they would get momentum or try to make creative product, and they were like, I think we're finding our voice. And then they would say that was too expensive, or they decided they were chasing Twitch or YouTube instead, or whatever. So
and the weird thing about that is that they only gave it a year. You do understand, like, it takes years, plural, to build up a social media presence. And if they wanted to take a shortcut, they had millions of dollars that they wasted on that ridiculous studio that they could have plowed into advertising.
Right, and that would have helped.
They didn't do it. They said
that if their metrics for success would change, sometimes it would be YouTube video views, other times it would be Twitch views, and one week it would be dozens of live hours on Twitch, et cetera, which these are all things we have pointed out numerous times on other videos.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a recipe for disaster. They clearly, it talks about the money they spent trying to get people to come in to help it.
Like Amaranth and stuff.
Yeah. It was basically, they spent a bunch of money up front. They didn't know what the hell they were doing with it. And it all went to shit. Now they're going to blame market forces, or they're going to blame the audience or whatever.
Probably going to blame men.
They're going to blame men. And then, of course, the leaders. I think what happened was once Roberts stepped out, it was his brain fart. And that's exactly what it was. Once he stepped out, they were like, we don't know what to do with this. So they just tried whatever they could try. But a year is not enough time. Like, anybody that was actually serious about this would be like, we have a 3 to 5 year plan. Month to month, this is what we're going to do. And I just can't believe the lack of planning.
Well, speaking of lack of something, Roberts rarely appeared at the studio. According to employees who worked at the office, in the Los Angeles studio, Roberts had a conference room-sized office based on Emperor Palpatine's throne room from Star Wars, complete with imperial iconography that meant camera crews were unable to film near it for fear of incurring rights violations.
What the hell?
Oh my God. It's just so effed up the whole way around.
He had the largest office space, and he never even moved in.
And they go on here talking about, they said crew members thought they were underpaid. 80% of people at G4 were contractors, and they did not receive health care or other benefits. People worked in roles they were not hired for. Sadly, this is a corporate thing you see often, is they will put you in law positions and not pay you for that time. They'll get rid of people, and they'll expect you to cover for it. So they said they were overextended on people. That applies to pretty much every single person on my team, including myself.
Yeah, they said that they're always complaining about money.
They try to say, "Oh, we're a startup. We can't pay you more."
Yeah.
We know what that's like.
Yeah, I know exactly what that's like. It's like you're owned by Comcast and NBC. You're not a startup. So it seems like they had a budget, but they were clearly spending it in the wrong place. They were spending it on a freaking Palpatine throne room office.
Well, they said they filed complaints with the California Labor Commissioner's office over contracts that failed to set terms around overtime pay.
There we go again.
Which in one case required a contractor to sign away their likeness rights in perpetuity. Oh, shit. That's not good.
They could be in some serious trouble. I wonder, part of the reason that they shut down just to stop incurring potential lawsuits. Like, we can't keep running this.
I don't know. That's not good.
No. So they're talking about Frosk's segment. Of course, talking about Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb being fappable.
So, the only people that watch that show are men, but then you're insulting. You're saying on one hand that it's only men who watch, and then you're insulting those men at the same time.
And here we go. But in the following days, numerous YouTube videos and tweets surfaced from influencers suggesting Black had insulted G4's viewers. Well, she did. And deserved to be fired. Well, if it were my company, if she did not have approval and she went off on a bender like that and it cost us an audience, I probably would have had a talking to. You know? Black was subsequently harassed, threatened, and doxxed. Not okay. That is not okay. Meaning trolls publicly posted private information pertaining to her real life location. Again, not okay. That's not okay. The harassment was reported on by the media at the time. A lot of the media that reported on that were probably journos at Kotaku and et cetera.
But there's journos out there doxing people now over Amber Heard.
There are.
So I guess it's potatoes, huh?
There are lots of people out there who are doxing YouTubers they don't like. I mean,
but that's okay because they side with those people.
Behind the scenes, Black wound up in a series of meetings with leadership, according to multiple former employees who worked with Black. Ultimately, the message from G4 was that little could be done about the harassment on the network's end, and she should file a local police report. They basically told her to be quiet.
Doesn't sound like people told her to do it then.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where things get sticky, because I have heard both versions. I've heard that her rant was sanctioned and encouraged, and it was a big PR stunt.
Well, here, they said that multiple female staffers told the Post the situation was galling, and they had been promised something different when they joined G4. The message very explicitly was, we are going to be a different G4 that recognizes the sins of our past. And we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again in regards to diversity, inclusion, and sexism. A former female contractor said about the message when she joined. And then they said the contractor cried the company for sitting idle while others of its hosts were harassed for months. Or one of its hosts, which would be Frosk.
Yeah, there were so many different things they could have done as opposed to letting YouTubers run.
What are they going to do? Tell YouTubers they can't talk? Yeah, they can't do that.
Disney does it.
I mean,
Paramount does it.
No, they don't. They can't. And
they try to.
And the thing is, what she did was stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, not everything she said was wrong, and I've said that repeatedly. Not everything she said was wrong. Some of the things she was talking about, yes, I faced the same thing. But the difference is, I wasn't going to go out onto my videos and when the audience basically insult the majority of my audience. For the few people that are behaving that way.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing, again, this could be different managers or whatever. We're probably never going to get the full story because you're going to have multiple people's version of it. But there are rumors that she went rogue, and also rumors that she had the blessing of the network to do this. And if you have any familiarity with gamers don't like to be told what to do. And if you're going to chastise them publicly, you're going to, unfortunately deal with it. Male or female, unfortunately, women are going to get more blowback. But
so then this Gerard, was it Khalil?
Khalil, yeah.
He said that they could have done more. But they said that to hire a crisis person or whatever, nothing happened. And then he took no issues with the message of Black's viral segment. However, he noted that when she tweeted, it led to lesser but still unpleasant harassment for other people at G4. So he's okay with her segment, but he wasn't okay with her going and tweeting all the time, apparently. And it caused other issues. He denies claims that he was why Black got fired. So apparently he's who they blame.
I don't know.
This is like a soap opera.
There's going to be a documentary. There's going to be a tell-all. The drama around G4 is a hell of a lot more interesting than the channel itself actually was. The views were never good. To say that one person, her rant had such an impact that it sank the company, that's absurd. That's actually, I would agree with that. I think that she absolutely positively did not help. Sessler's Twitter profile, constant politics, did not help. But the reality is that I think they pulled that stunt because they knew the views weren't there. And it was like a last-ditch effort to try to be like, hey, let's cause some controversy.
Right, I agree.
That'll do it. I
think it was going to fail no matter what.
I think it was going to fail no matter what. Yeah. I mean, they absolutely didn't do themselves any favors, but yeah.
And she was just one host. There's a lot of other hosts too,
Yeah, under Marsha's leadership, this is another person that came in. G4 bought out the remainder of her contract after a poorly received tweet, and a lot of people called her out.
Oh, she did. It was so dumb.
After she victoriously proclaimed she survived. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people gave her the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people turned on her because they just laid a bunch of people off at G4, and then she's out there saying, I survived the layoffs. And they're like, no, you are garbage. Never mind. Mm-hmm. Never mind. You are trash. Yeah, so they said by late September, Adam Sessler had either substantially scaled back.
Well, that's because they're too busy on Twitter.
Not
yelling at people.
Yeah, like
threatening to punch
crazy.
People. Allegedly.
Yeah, so following the layoffs, former employees Marsh planned for staff from T1, the Comcast-backed esports organization, to essentially backfill open positions benefiting their expertise. Now, they were told that they might get jobs like, oh, we're going to put people someplace else. I was like, what, Universal Orlando? Like they can go get a job there or something? Would have taken months to onboard them, workers said. The reality is we lost so many key staff, not just below the line, but like lead producers on Attack of the Show and X-Play, and the entire esports team. There's nothing they can do. I mean, it's just done. It's just done. I think they realized early on that this thing was not going to fly, that they came at it completely wrong, and that the Frosk thing, I think, just kind of gave them it accelerated the demise and it gave them an out.
Well, here too, people said about the one show that had to deal with WWE, and then they all quit. Like apparently that's because they had WWE show wrestling circuit originally set to last until April 2023. They quit after G4 refused to grant them a raise and additional staff to make up for September's layoffs.
I don't know, guys. There's all kinds of problems. There are going to be a lot of articles come out. There are going to be a lot of squealing about what actually went down. But it just sounds to me like this thing was a brain fart of the Comcast CEO's son. And then once he realized it was going to be work, he didn't want to do it. And he bailed. And then everybody else was left to pick up the pieces. And it just all went to shit. I mean, that's basically it. It was never going to happen without the right people at the top, and they never had the right people at the top. You know, Frosk definitely didn't help, but I don't think it was the sole reason for its failure. We're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
All right, guys. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.